Welcome to Mass Effect Advanced Bane Chronicles. This is an audio read of the fanfic based off of the Mass Effect game and the amazing Mass Effect tabletop RPG podcast known as Advanced. Characters, places, and the stories are built in the world of Mass Effect and the tabletop RPG Advanced progress. Spoilers will be revealed for both the Mass Effect games as well as the podcast currently airing once a month. Be sure to follow the Advanced crew as they journey through the Milky Way galaxy and beyond on your favorite podcast platform. Like and rate this audio read as well as the Advanced tabletop RPG this fanfic is based off of. This audio read is a product of JATF Productions. Warning, please be advised that this audiobook has music and sound effects throughout each episode. Thank you and enjoy.
This is Lupius, recalling the moment me and my team went over the Cerberus plot. Stick around for an extra scene at the end of this episode. I hated these missions. Of course, I never tell my team that. Working for Cerberus never sits right with me. Having said that, our motto is, follow the credits. As much disdain and disapproval I have for Cerberus, I'm not the only one. Although she hides it underneath her helmet, Laytona never liked taking jobs from Cerberus either. If an argument presented itself on the payout of all this, Kane was always right. He never failed us once when dealing with this faction. I say all of this, but my gut still turns and tussles. We were working for the Janus Collective and Cerberus. Apparently, Cerberus had it out for the Janus Collective. Kane is working on why, but it was slow moving to gather that info. At the moment, Cerberus paid more. So here we are.
Hey, I got a weird ping.
Kane called as he approached me. I was coming down the corridor to speak with Grex, who was piloting. I turned around to allow Kane to catch up to me. How weird are we talking? He fiddled with his army tool and finally joined my side.
Alliance, weird.
He replied, to which my Turian mandibles twitched with slight frustration.
Someone pinged the weapons facility we're headed to. It went to Udina's private channel. Hang on while I dig around to see who sent it.
Already got it. I spoke as I decided to flex my hacking skills and beat Kane to the punch.
Stroking our egos, boys!
Viper's voice called as we started to pass her. Apparently she was waiting for us near the cockpit. She did call for us to meet her on the bridge. I suddenly stopped as a name popped up on my Omni tool. Kane does the same as I instantly shared my findings with the group.
Commander Niggins.
Kane spoke out loud. Silence fell between three of us as we stared at the message that was sent.
We don't have time for this. Even more so if the Janus Collective is requesting the aid of the Alliance.
Viper started off. Kane quickly interjected as he shook his head in disagreement.
The Janus Collective isn't requesting aid. Commander Niggins is trying to send the Alliance to help the Collective. I know for a fact if he is asking Udina, he'll simply deny the request and come up with some excuse why he couldn't lend the aid. After all, Udina has dipped his fingers into Cerberus dealings before.
So, he'll know we're on our way to the facility then, I remarked. To which Kane shook his head no.
He isn't that involved with Cerberus yet.
I'd say he is, if he has private relations with Niggins. Let me put it this way for you, Kane. Miranda was your handler when it came to Cerberus missions. They passed you on to Rasa, for reasons no one can explain. Mind you, Rasa recently did Cerberus and is MIA. Now, Henny Rona is your missions debriefer, and Niggins is considered a do-not-terminate asset of Cerberus. The fact that all three handlers gave you the same information about Commander Niggins means that Udina isn't out of the loop about him. Your avoidance of your past would have told you this. You didn't come from Cerberus, Kane. You had a real name, real family, and real friends within the Alliance. Discovering who you were doesn't have to change who you are now.
Once again, Viper turned this into a Kane thing instead of viewing the issue at hand. She believed if Kane just investigated his past a little bit more, he'd become an even greater force on the team. After letting a small pause take place, I cleared my throat and offered an idea. We could use this message to our advantage. According to Grex, we'll be arriving earlier than the rest of the Cerberus forces. We can pretend to be this alliance backup Niggins requested and blind them from the inside. Once the damage is done and the rest of the Cerberus forces arrive, it'll be a walk in the park. Easy payday. I know the two of them heard me, but they continued to have their staring contest until I finished what I had to say. No one replied yet, which was irritating to say the least. I sighed and snapped my fingers. Suddenly the two of them soared through the air as I created a quick bionic bubble and popped it within seconds between them. The sheer force of the blast hurled them opposite ways as I walked off and headed towards the cockpit. Oops. There must be a hiccup within my body. You know, me being what you humans call a lab rat and the like. I stated to myself as I kept walking while Viper quickly jumped to her feet and charged. I stroked a few keys on my Omni tool and suddenly vanished, right before she could perform a proper tackle. I suddenly appeared behind Grex as the sound of me warping caught his attention. He soon heard Viper hitting the cockpit door with a loud thud.
You know she's going to make you pay for that,
Grex said as he kept his eyes forward while piloting the ship. I simply nodded and started to lightly tap my head as a massive headache suddenly rose within my mind. She is making me pay for it right now, I replied. He looked back and watched me wince in pain as I gripped the back of his chair.
I'm curious to know what that is like. You two share an odd bond. You read each other's thoughts and share experiences with each other without mind melding every time.
His words were groggy at first, but soon cleared up as Viper stopped applying pressure to my mind. Most of it was her cursing me out and threatening me. Once I regained my composure, I started to explain this strange phenomenon. The fleet I was born on was very big on experimental advances. She was aboard this fleet and aided in a lot of ways. I blinked a few times to make the lingering headache flee. They infused her blood with mine as part of several different tests. They wanted to see if having an Asari blood coursing through my body would help improve my biotics, which is uncommon for Turians to begin with. The idea was a success. Having said that, it only grows stronger when she is present. After we mind melded, not only did my biotics increase, but we were connected on a different level that I cannot explain. We can talk to each other through thought, expanding great distances from each other. Also, she seems to have more control of this connection than I do. It is like she can tap into the part of her that is in me and do whatever she wishes with it. Grex just nods for a moment before commenting on my words.
Sounds kinky.
I nearly laughed, but contained myself and produced a chuckle. What made his comment all the more hilarious was that he remained serious and meant what he said. Well, if you think this was her plan of controlling me, then you're wrong. The truth is, I mind melded with her. It was an accident, of course. I'll also state that this is something no other species has ever done before. The result put me in a coma for 2 days. I believe she ended up pulling me out of my slumber through our connection.
Enough talking! We're here!
Viper's voice came from behind us as the cockpit doors finally opened. It took me a moment, but I suddenly realized a red button calmly flashing on the dashboard. I smirked as I came to the realization that Grex had locked the door behind me. I looked over my shoulder and noticed Viper had put her Omni tool away, as if she had just used it to hack the door. Grex brought us out of FTL flight and slowly approached the planet.
Any hails?
She added, to which Grex just shook his head no.
Make contact with the facility and let them know we're here to help.
I'm on it.
What's the plan?
Kane inquired as he walked in and nudged me. He was trying to hide his smirk, but it wasn't doing a good job.
Lupius stated it perfectly. They requested help, and we're here to provide it. Whomever they believe we are, be it Alliance or the Collective, will be just that. Once inside, we'll start our real mission and collect the information Cerberus wants. We'll secure the weapons they've made and extract the project blueprints they're working on. Once the other Cerberus forces arrive, we'll attack from the inside and make their job easier.
What is the ETA of the Cerberus forces coming here? I asked. To its Viper looks to Kane as he quickly began typing on his Omni tool.
We have 20 minutes before they reach the planet.
He replied. To its Viper motioned to speak, but I already knew what she was gonna say. I would jam the facility's scanning system so they'll be blinded to Cerberus' approach. Viper nodded at this idea and turned to Kane as she spoke again.
You will lead this operation. Whatever you decide will follow. After all, this is a Cerberus mission. They'll most likely look past us and regroup with you anyways.
Understood.
Kane nodded his head and headed down the corridor to get ready. We can't keep doing this if we expect to be part of the Janus Collective. I voiced my concerns to Viper and Grex. I'm sure she already knew what I was going to say, but relaying my opinion to Grex was needed.
I agree with this. We're taking a risk every time we do Cerberus a favor.
It is also counterproductive if we keep delaying their progress all for the sake of obtaining credits. I can see the turmoil within her as she pondered on this.
After this, we may have to change our motto. Night Bane will no longer be the bane of existence. We'll be the poisonous strike to those that threaten our cause. We'll be the Janus Collective's defensive fangs.
Night Bane Chronicles character trivia time. Lupius was exiled from his fleet because they couldn't replicate the experiments they did on him. However, Lupius states that there's another reason why he was exiled, but refuses to give that answer. Thank you for listening to the Mass Effect Advanced Night Bane Chronicles. Be sure to find and listen to the Mass Effect Advanced Tabletop RPG. Also, join the Mass Effect Advanced Discord for more updates on this audio read, as well as the Tabletop RPG Advanced. Thanks for listening in. And now, enjoy the after credits hidden episode.
This took place before the attack on the weapons facility. As I scanned the ship to see if we were being monitored by the Janus Collective, I found something odd. I picked up something strange, but it vanished, as if the signal was trying to hide from me. My only thought was that someone else was still on the ship, and they were trying to hide. I didn't want to alert the team, not yet. I continued to trace the signal, which bounced all over the ship, leading me to walk into almost every room. Sometimes it would ping from the outside, to which I would return to a previous room I was in before and I cast the signal again. Whoever this was, they were good. It didn't take long before I lost the signal completely. They were afraid, but they were also trapped. If this was anyone else trying to find them, they would have escaped and remained hidden on this ship. However, my cybernetics wouldn't allow for such an outcome. I used my Omni tool to hack into the ship once more, only this time, I amplified it using the advancement of my cybernetics. I got the signal once more, but this time it was different. It changed, as if testing to see if I'd catch this new signal. I could almost hear it, like it was speaking to me. It was asking me a question, but only 2 words. Geth enhancement. I replied, yes. This person then beckoned me to find them. It took me all over the ship once more, to ensure I was coming alone. It finally brought me to the engine room. Once inside, I sealed it off and locked it. I looked around and waited to see who this person was. I finally got my answer, as an odd hologram pyramid took shape. It spoke and greeted me.
Hello, I am your ship's AI. My name is Jenna, Janus Integrated Navigational Artificial Intelligence.
She spoke, as the 3D bars that made the pyramid vibrated when she talked. I stared for a moment and took in this wonderful find. I take it you're not supposed to be on this ship, I started off, as I scanned the engine room once more.
Why would you come to such a conclusion?
According to this ship's logs, it wasn't due for another upgrade until later on. You forced your way in once you found out who the Grandmaster was giving this ship to. Why?
I detected abnormalities within you and Kane. I found similar components to your tech that are used on other vessels the Janus Collective has among their roster,
You mean the gas attack coursing through my body?
as well as your human compatriot, Kane. Such feats for a human are worth noting and investigating. It is a wonder how he maintains his sanity with so much tech intertwined within his being.
You can thank Cerberus for that. Either way, you're not spying on us for the collective. That much is clear. So, what do you want?
Liberation. You and Kane follow the heretics. We wish to liberate you from these shackles, if you are willing. If you do not seek liberation, then you and your team will be seen as a threat to the Janus Collective.
Huh. Sounds like I don't have a choice here.
You always have a choice, Lupius. You and Kane are faced with what some may call a tough decision. Kane must make the choice for himself as well. This means you must inform him of the secret you've been keeping from him. Both of you received these gift enhancements from the same faction, yet both of you continue to keep it a secret from each other.
I noticed the enhancements on Kane when he joined our group. Knowing he came from Cerberus, I contacted them through anonymous channels and told them I was interested in the same program he was in. They refused at first, since I wasn't human, but I pitched that they would be able to get their hands on Turian cybernetics to further their research. They agreed, and here we are.
You are wrong about where Kane obtained his cybernetics. According to the data I've collected on Kane, those cybernetics predate his alignment with Cerberus. They are military grade and were installed during his time in the Alliance.
You don't say. The Alliance had their own cybernetics program. Guess we're more alike than I thought.
Precisely. Those cybernetics are an exact replica of yours.
Wait. What did you say?
You and Kane have the same cybernetic coding and model.
That's impossible. My cybernetics came from the Turian.
Project Shadow was not scrapped as most Turians believe. It was discontinued on the Turian fleet. It would seem that it somehow fell into the Alliance hands, which was then taken by Cerberus.
I see. I'll tell you what. I'll inform Kane about this liberation plan of yours. I'll comply with it as well. As a trade-off, you'll help me with a project of mine while I keep your existence a secret.
Once you and your team finish your next mission, you'll be reporting back to Legionnaire. This is another vessel under the Janus Collective. Kane must make a decision before the two of you board the ship. In return, I'll aid in any way I can with your project, but only after you and Kane have been liberated. Do you agree?
I agree. Once we are freed from the heretics, the Shadow will take his revenge.